Hello. In Chapter 4, we're going to discuss business hardware. We'll describe the major hardware components of computers and explain their functions. Classify computers into major categories and identify their strengths and weaknesses. Identify and evaluate key criteria for deciding what computers or related devices to purchase, and discuss possible health hazards of computer use. Hardware is the physical components of computers and related electronic devices. A computer must handle four types of operations. It must accept data, it must store data and instructions, it must process the data, and it must output data or information. In general, every computer has the following components: input devices, central processing unit, internal memory, storage, and output devices. Input devices receive signals from outside of the computer and transfer them into the computer. And here we see a graphic of the various types of devices that are components of a computer system, including input devices. The central processing unit accepts instructions and data, decodes and executes the instructions, and stores the results or output in memory. Internal memory, or primary memory, stores data and instructions before and after the CPU processes them. RAM is random access memory, and ROM is read-only memory. A motherboard is a circuit board containing the CPU and primary memory. Storage are things like magnetic disks, optical disks, DVDs, and flash memory. They allow permanent storage. Output devices deliver information from the computer to the user. Monitors and printers are the most common output devices. Audio devices also deliver output. A bit is a binary digit, a 0 or 1. A byte is a combination of 8 bits. Computer memory and storage capacity are measured in megabytes, gigabytes, or terabytes. Computers vary in size and power. They're classified by power. Power is determined mainly by the processing speed and memory size. More powerful computers are more expensive. Supercomputers are the most powerful computers at any given time. They're the largest in physical size and the most expensive. They're designed for complex arithmetic calculations. They're generally impractical for business purposes. Parallel processing is multiple processors running simultaneously. It's also known as multiprocessing. Clustering uses the CPU power of multiple computers. Mainframe computers store large amounts of data and business transactions. They're less expensive and less powerful than supercomputers. They're often used by banks, universities, and insurance companies as a central computer. A significant amount of the world's business data resides on mainframes. They use multiple processors. Servers are a mid-range category of computers They're smaller and less powerful than mainframes. They serve hundreds of users that connect from desktops, laptops, and other servers. And they also use multiple processors. PCs is a collective name for several types of computers: notebooks, desktops, netbooks, and handheld computers. A workstation is a more powerful PC used for computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing, complex simulation, graphical rendering, and scientific applications. The power of PCs have doubled about every 2 years since their inception. Then we have computers on the go: notebooks, tablets, and smartphones. A notebook computer is compact. It's a lightweight PC powered by a rechargeable battery. The current models incorporate wireless technology. A personal digital assistant is a handheld computer. It uses a stylus, which is a pen-like device, to enter data through a touchscreen. A smartphone is a PDA, a personal digital assistant, that is also a mobile phone. A tablet computer is a mobile computing device that uses a touchscreen to execute commands. A traditional mode, there's 2 modes: a traditional or monitor mode and a slate mode. There's a wide range of applications that are available on tablet computers, and some examples include the Microsoft Surface, the Apple iPad, and the Kindle Fire. A technology convergence is building several technologies into a single piece of hardware. And of course we see that in the handheld form factors. The smartphone is a prime example. It brings together a cellular telephone, a personal digital assistant, data and networking capabilities, Wi-Fi, media, and cloud storage. So, professionals must know about computer components to understand their power and capabilities. And they use this knowledge to make good decisions in purchasing or recommending a computer. A CPU has 2 units to store and process data: the control unit and the arithmetic logic unit, or ALU. CPU is a silicon chip with multiple circuits. It's also known as a microprocessor. Multi-core processors are processors that combine 2 or more CPUs or cores on a single chip. Multi-threading is processing more than one program or several parts of a program at the same time. Microprocessors are embedded with transistors. A transistor is a semiconductor that can represent binary code's 2 states, a 0 or a 1. A machine cycle is a set of 4 operations performed by the CPU: fetch, decode, execute, and store. The CPU clock is special circuitry on the processor that synchronizes all tasks. A clock rate is the number of pulses per second. A machine cycle takes several clock pulses. And here we see a graphic of the 4 phases of operation by a CPU: fetch, decode, execute, and store. And the clock speeds are now down to the picoseconds, so that is an extremely fast period of time. So the CPU, central processing unit, one of the important concepts is the idea of a data word or word, and that's the maximum number of bits that the CPU control unit can fetch from primary memory in a single machine cycle. Current microcomputers are typically 64-bit words. You may still have several that are 32-bit, but primarily they're all moving towards 64-bit or are already there. Again, the ALU is the part of the CPU that performs arithmetic and logic operations. Computer power depends on the processing speed and memory capacity. A bus is a set of electronic lines used for communication inside the computer. Throughput is the number of bits per second that the bus can accommodate. MIPS is an acronym for millions of instructions per second, and it's a common measure of computer speed. Input devices. Computers must receive input to produce output. Input devices include machines and devices used to enter instructions and data into the computer. Common input devices include a keyboard, mouse, trackball, microphone, or scanner. An input device that contains keys that users press to enter data is a keyboard, and it includes letters, numbers, punctuation, and function keys. Ergonomics is the study of the comfort and safety of humans in the workplace. An ergonomic keyboard fits the natural position of the forearms and helps to prevent injury. A mouse is an input device that controls an on-screen pointer to facilitate the point and click approach to computing. It has several buttons for clicking, locking, and dragging. A trackball is similar to a mouse, but the user manipulates a ball within the device to indicate movement on the screen. A trackpad is a cursor movement where the control is by moving a finger over a touch-sensitive pad. Mice and similar devices are increasingly wireless units. A touchscreen. A touchscreen is both an input and an output device. It's often used for public applications such as kiosks. It's prevalent in handheld devices, GPS devices, and mobile phones. It allows the user to navigate and select by touching the screen. Some source data input devices. These are devices that copy data directly from sources such as barcodes, credit cards, or checks. Optical mark recognition devices detect positions of marks or characters. Optical character recognition, or OCR devices, try to interpret handwritten and printed text. And radio frequency identification is the fastest growing source data technology. Universal product code is a barcode on a product in a grocery store. MICR, the magnetic ink character recognition, automates check processing. Magnetic strips on credit cards and debit cards are another source of input data. And likewise, barcodes used on packages received from shipping companies are yet another source of input data. And here we see an example of a miker technology in a bank check. You see the bank code, account number, check number, and amount. Imaging is yet another input source. It converts documents into images, and that saves paper. It's more efficient for retrieval and filing, and it converts paper documents into imaging. Scanned document images can be indexed and linked to relevant records in a database and can be easily retrieved. Original paper documents can be destroyed after scanning. And speech recognition is the process of translating human speech into computer-readable data and instructions. It's also known as voice recognition. The system receives input from a microphone or telephone and processes it with software. Interactive voice recognition systems are employed by many companies for customer service. Let's now take a look at output devices. These deliver results of the computer processing. Popular output devices include monitors, printers, and speakers. In the future, digital smell output may be possible. Monitors, some important concepts with a monitor are pixels or picture elements. These are small dots that make up the images on a monitor. You have several types. Almost all of the CRT or cathode ray tube are older monitors where the inside of the screen has a layer of phosphoric dots, and an electron gun receives instructions from the computer and sweeps the pixels. A flat panel monitor is better than a cathode ray tube because it uses less power, gives sharper images, and has a slimmer profile. A liquid crystal display monitor uses a liquid crystal filled screen. Monitor price depends on the size, measured as the diagonal length of the screen. The brightness, brighter is better. The contrast ratio, higher is better. The pixel pitch, closer pixels are better. Resolution is a measure of picture sharpness, the number of pixels in the width and height of the screen. Printers come in two types. A non-impact printer does not mechanically impact the paper. The laser printer is the most common one used in business. Others include inkjet and electrothermal printers. Speed is measured in pages per minute, ppm. Density is measured in dots per inch. An impact printer reproduces an image by using mechanical impact. A dot matrix printer uses tiny pins to strike an ink ribbon against the paper. Storage. Data must be stored on a non-volatile medium. Data is retained even when the storage device is not connected to electrical power. Storage devices differ in the technology used to maintain data and physical structure. You evaluate storage devices by comparing cost, capacity, access speed, and access mode. There's several modes of access. Sequential storage is data is organized one record after another, and you must read through all records that are stored prior to your desired record. Direct access are records that are organized by physical address on a device. A record can be accessed directly, or in other words, random access. A flash drive is a small storage device that connects via the USB or Universal Serial Bus. And here we see the difference between sequential and direct access. Magnetic tapes are similar to tapes used in tape recorders and VCR, and they're usually used as cartridges. They provide the lowest cost storage option, and they can back up a lot of data. It takes a long time to copy from a tape. They can also become unreliable after long periods of time or usage. Magnetic disks are the most widely used storage medium, and they include hard disks and floppy disks. A hard disk is a stack of several rigid platters installed in the same box that holds the CPU. An internal hard disk in a desktop computer usually stores up to 3 terabytes of data. External hard disk components connect to the computer through a USB port. You also have storage provisions for data warehouses, and these are very large databases. Optical disks is another form of storage, and it records by treating the disk surface to reflect light in different ways. There's 2 basic categories: compact disks and digital video disks, or DVDs. Compact disks are available as read-only, recordable, and rewritable. DVDs store 4.7 gigabytes per side. Optical disks are slower than hard disks. Another form of storage is solid-state storage, and it's also known as flash memory. It's a rewritable memory chip that holds its content without power. It consumes very little power and does not need a constant power supply. It offers fast access times and is relatively immune to shock or vibration. It's available as a memory card and a USB drive. A solid-state disk, SSD, is storage media that does not have a latency time and is based on solid-state storage technology. More options for storage include direct attached storage, DAS, and that's a disk or array of disks directly connected to a server. They're easy to deploy and manage and have low cost. The data access speed depends on the server usage. There's also network attached storage, or NAS, and this is a device that's connected to a network. It includes both the storage media and the software to manage it. It relieves a server of handling the storage and is highly scalable. A storage area network is a network fully devoted to storage and transfer of data. It's managed separately from the rest of the local area network, and it can combine DAS and NAS devices. It can transfer large blocks at high speeds. It's expensive and complex to manage. RAID is another storage option, and it's the redundant array of independent disks. It's often used by DAS, NAS, and SAN, and it's fault tolerant. This is the system's ability to sustain a disk failure because the same data is on another disk. Cloud storage is a new option, and it's the availability of network accessible storage from an off-site computer or technology device. Systems are usually maintained by a third-party organization through a subscription charge. Storage as a service is cloud storage vendors. The advantages are it reduces the cost of storing and managing data, frees internal storage, and the disadvantages are it's reliant on a internet connection, and that it also entails a cost that you can't control over time, and there's risks of security breaches. So there's some important business considerations when evaluating these storage media options. When considering storage devices, managers have to consider the purpose of the data storage, the amount of data to be stored, the required speed of data storage and retrieval, the unit, space, and portability of the device, and the cost. And here we see a table that compares the various types of storage medium and over a set of criteria: capacity, speed, cost, what it's ideal for, limitations. So some of the considerations in purchasing hardware: the equipment's power, the speed, memory size, and capacity, expansion slots and ports, the number and types. The ports are sockets that connect external devices to a computer, a monitor type and resolution, and ease of use or ergonomics. Also, compatibility with existing hardware, software, and networks. A backward compatibility is where newer hardware works with older hardware. A hardware footprint is the area in terms of space that is required for the device. Also, the reliability of the vendor, the warranty policy, and post-warranty support, power consumption and noise of the system, and its cost. And here's an evaluation form that you can use, or checklist, to score out what any particular system provides, and then you can compare those scores between different systems. Scalability and updating hardware. Scalability, resources can accommodate a growing amount of work either with or without upgrading. Not all hardware is scalable. Hardware replacement is needed to avoid performance gaps between hardware and new software or new versions of software. Leasing hardware is a valid option to avoid short, useful lifetimes of hardware. So in summary, this lecture we've discussed hardware, the various parts of a computer, looked at a CPU and important concepts there, the clock speed, data words. We also looked at computer power, types of memory, RAM and ROM, imaging devices, and then how to evaluate external storage, ways data can be organized, a direct access or random access memory versus sequential access. Talked about databases, require direct access storage, ergonomics, and That concludes our lecture for Chapter 4 in the Management Information Systems text. Thank you.